Hey guys, and welcome to this edition of Scruff's Garage. So today in the garage, I have my 2017 Honda CRF 250L. I want to take a moment to show you this tool tube that I recently got. I'm going to use that for carrying tools and that sort of thing here on the bike. Because the factory toolbox, if you will, that typically mounts here on the side is very oddly shaped on the inside, and there's really not a lot of room for carrying things. So I came across this tool tube. It's kind of a universal kind of thing, but looking at some of the dimensions, I felt like I could make it work here on the bike in place of that toolbox, if you will. So taking this off, the toolbox is pretty simple. There's a bolt here and then a bolt on the inside there at the back. So just a hex nut. Those come out pretty easily. But the tool tube is a little bit longer. So there's the front mount. I'll get this where you can see it. There's the front mount for where the factory box mounted. And then in there is where the rear mount. But obviously this is longer. So what I ended up doing was removing, over here we can see it. So here in the back is where the factory helmet lock was. So that silver bracket that you see, that's where the helmet lock mounts. Now to get the helmet lock off, it has these tamper-proof bolt heads that come into the back of it. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to get those out. I thought maybe I have to get like an easy out extractor, or I have to drill them out. It was actually much simpler than that. I just got a pair of locking vice grips and clamp them onto the head of the bolt and give them a little twist, and they're really not in there very tight. So they came right out without any sort of issue. I guess if it was all rusted or something like that, you might have to fight with it a bit more, but for me they came out just a few minutes. So that part, not too bad. So the tool tube, if I can get where you can see it, total length 355 millimeters, which is about 14 inches. So that's from down here to the end of the tube. It's an 80 millimeter diameter, which is kind of about 3 1/8. And then the length between the mounting points, so from there to the pre-drilled mounting points, was 315 millimeters, or 12.4 inches. The rear, so I used one of the kind of pre-drilled mounting holes here on the front, and then in the back I just drilled my own mounting hole once I got it where I wanted it. And you can also see on that top edge, I used my Dremel with a little carbide bit and just removed some of the plastic. That way the tool tube would fit maybe a little more flush to the fender. That way you get a little more ground clearance or whatever. It was just a neater fitment. So once I had that where I wanted it, I just marked my hole, and this is just plastic, so just a little drill bit, and it mounted no problem. At this end, like I said, I reused the factory mounting point that was used for the original toolbox. While I didn't enlarge the mounting hole, I did drill it at a little bit of an angle, because if you notice, if you're looking straight down, this mounting point is further out than this mounting point. So it actually sits inward just a bit, or kind of at an angle. So to keep it from putting too much kind of bending pressure on this rear piece, I drilled the hole at a bit of an angle, and that way it fits a little bit smoother. There is a rubber gasket here, so when you screw the cap off, there's a rubber gasket, so that would help keep moisture out. There's some depth to the cap, and then of course you can fit things down inside there. So obviously you could put tools and that sort of thing, a tire iron or screwdrivers or whatever you want to carry. You could stuff rags or towels or stuff like that in the cap if you wanted to. But I was also thinking you can get some of the fuel not jogs, but little fuel canisters, the jars. I think they would fit in here. You've got a pretty good depth and size, so I think they would fit in there, and you could put some rags or stuff like that. So that's just a way that if you want to carry some additional fuel with you, and you weren't going to carry like a Rotopack or something on the back, because maybe you've got luggage or something like that, this would give you an additional option. So I think this is going to work out pretty well. Keep in mind it is plastic, so really hard to hit. You could probably tear it up if you wreck the bike bad enough. But you know, for 20 bucks you can buy another one. Not the end of the world. So I think it's a pretty clean fitment. Doesn't stick out too far. Kind of see how it fits the profile of the bike. So I'm pretty happy with that. You know, inside the fender, no chance of the tire rubbing it or anything of that nature. So from that perspective, I think I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, I'll throw a link to this in the episode notes. You can get them in different sizes, so if you got a different bike or you're going to use it a little differently, you can look at that. But I think for 20 bucks, pretty good deal. You can also get these with a little metal clasp that you could put a lock on. So if you live somewhere that you felt like you needed to keep it locked up, that's an option for you as well. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. I'll answer anything that I can. I'll put links to stuff in the episode notes. So with that said, thanks for tuning in to this edition of Scruff's Garage. Look forward to seeing you next time.